Power isn't granted, it's taken. While many thinkers debated how the world should be, one man focused on how it actually works. Niccolo Machiavelli stripped away moral illusions to reveal the raw mechanics of power and control. His insights were so unsettling that his name became a symbol of ruthless cunning, and yet his ideas still echo, silently shaping politics, business, and personal relationships alike. Machiavelli didn't just study rulers, he uncovered how people are led, influenced, and manipulated. This is the uncomfortable wisdom that those in power would rather you didn't understand, the enduring mechanics of control that haven't changed in over 500 years. Part 1. The truth about human nature. Machiavelli's brilliance wasn't in inventing tactics. It was in seeing human nature with brutal clarity. While his peers describe people as they wish them to be, Machiavelli described them as they truly are. Men are so simple and so much creatures of circumstance that the deceiver will always find someone willing to be deceived. This idea is the cornerstone of Machiavellian thinking. People respond not to ideals, but to self-interest and immediate needs. Despite what we're told, that humans are rational, consistent, moral decision makers, Machiavelli saw through it. He understood that behavior is mostly driven by two forces: fear and self-interest. Nearly everything people do, no matter how noble it may seem, is rooted in those twin drives. That's not cynicism. It's realism. When you remove moral pretenses, human actions become remarkably predictable. People choose safety over principles. They prefer quick rewards over long-term benefits. They rally behind strength and abandon weakness. Public opinion swings wildly with changing circumstances. A nation demands war when attacked, then protests it when the cost becomes too high. An employee flatters the boss at work, then criticizes them after hours. A friend swears loyalty, until loyalty requires sacrifice. Machiavelli didn't scorn this inconsistency. He simply saw it for what it was, the terrain on which power is played. And by understanding that terrain, you gain a map others don't have. One of his most disturbing yet powerful insights was that morality is often performance, not substance. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. This gap between appearance and reality is the space where influence operates. People judge others based on what they see and what they get, not on good intentions. That's why seeming virtuous often matters more than being virtuous. A leader who looks honest but bends the rules may succeed more than one who's truly ethical but appears weak. The lesson applies far beyond politics. A coworker who talks up their efforts may get more credit than the one doing the real work quietly. A romantic partner who stages big gestures may be seen as more loving than one who offers daily, quiet support. When you grasp this distinction between image and reality, you unlock a key advantage: the ability to shape perception instead of simply responding to it. This is the first law of Machiavellian influence: not forcing people against their nature, but moving with it. Part 2. Fear versus love. The mechanics of control. Machiavelli posed a timeless question. Is it better to be loved or feared? His answer: if you can't be both, it's safer to be feared. This flips conventional wisdom on its head. We're told great leadership is about inspiring love, trust, and devotion. Machiavelli saw the flaw in that ideal. Being loved is beneficial, but unstable. Love depends on loyalty, and people are often ungrateful, fickle, eager to avoid danger, always chasing gain. When love conflicts with self-interest wins. A loyal subordinate will switch sides if a better opportunity comes along. A devoted friend vanishes when that devotion starts to cost them. Fear, on the other hand, has staying power. It's reinforced by the threat of consequences, which people rarely ignore. Love can fade the moment it becomes inconvenient, but fear lingers. People may stop loving you. They almost never stop fearing what might happen if they cross you. Why do some people command respect while others get walked over, even when they're trying to lead with kindness? This question has haunted leaders, professionals, and everyday people for centuries. But the answer isn't hidden in modern self-help books or leadership seminars. It's in ideas that have survived for over 500 years. In this video, we're diving into the timeless strategies of Niccolo Machiavelli, not for manipulation, but for understanding how real influence works. And if you're serious about applying these timeless ideas to your own growth, check the pinned comment and video description. I've put together a deeper guide, guided by the greats, a path to self-growth. Now, let's get into the heart of it, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This isn't about ruling through terror or cruelty. Machiavelli drew a clear line between fear and hatred. A prince should inspire fear in such a way that, if he does not win love, he avoids hatred. Fear becomes dangerous when it breeds resentment, when it turns people into enemies. But productive fear is something else entirely. It's not about chaos, it's about clarity. The most effective kind of fear doesn't stem from random punishment, but from consistent consequences. The leader who lashes out arbitrarily breeds hostility. The one who sets expectations and enforces them predictably earns respect. This idea reaches far beyond royalty or politics. In negotiation, the person who can walk away holds power over the one who can't. In relationships, the one who needs less often decides the terms. In social groups, those who control approval influence those who crave it. The application is simple. Position yourself so others are more dependent on you than you are on them. Make sure aligning with your interests becomes the path of least resistance for those around you. You see this clearly in the modern workplace. The boss who tries to be everyone's friend often struggles with performance, but the leader who keeps a professional distance and enforces standards usually gets better results. They're not necessarily loved, but they're respected. And respect, backed by a reasonable fear of consequences, is far more reliable than affection alone. This doesn't mean abandoning empathy or kindness. It means recognizing that influence isn't built on being liked. It's built on aligning your goals with others' self-interest, while making the cost of defiance clear. Part 3. Perception management, the appearance of virtue. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. This is the foundation of Machiavellian perception management, the art of crafting your image independently from your inner reality. Machiavelli understood that people judge almost entirely by appearances. What you are matters less than what you seem. That creates a powerful leverage point. Control the narrative, control perception, control influence. Principle 1. Selective virtue. A leader should appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright, and even be these things. But, Machiavelli warned, you must be trained enough to act opposite when necessary. This isn't hypocrisy, it's adaptation. Virtue isn't always a strength. Mercy can backfire. Honesty can reveal vulnerability. Being consistently virtuous in a world where others are not often leads to defeat. The solution? Maintain the reputation for virtue while allowing yourself the flexibility to act otherwise when needed. This duality gives you maximum freedom of action with minimal reputational cost. Principle 2. Symbolic action. People are more influenced by a few well-timed visible actions than by consistent but invisible effort. A politician who's photographed once helping during a disaster gets more credit than one who quietly passed the aid bill. A manager who gives one big public compliment seems more supportive than one who's helped behind the scenes all year. Understanding this allows you to concentrate effort on high-visibility moves, shaping perception efficiently rather than spreading yourself thin. Principle 3. Information control. A leader who hides their true aims and curates their image will always find people willing to believe it. This isn't about lying, which is risky. It's about managing emphasis, timing, and framing. Highlight the good, minimize the damaging, release bad news when people are distracted. Wrap difficult truths in appealing context. The modern PR industry is built on these exact tactics, Machiavellian in origin, but effective in practice. The most effective manipulators aren't those who fabricate reality. They're the ones who edit it. They selectively present what serves their goals, hiding nothing outright but shaping what others see. This leads to the fourth principle of control, delegated representation. Machiavelli advised that unpopular duties should be delegated to others, while favorable acts should be handled personally. By attaching yourself visibly to good outcomes and distancing yourself from unpleasant ones, you shape how your leadership is perceived. This is why effective leaders often deliver good news themselves, while assigning subordinates to communicate bad news. It's why they take personal credit for successes and attribute failures to circumstances or external factors. This isn't mere self-preservation. It's deliberate perception management that protects their authority and ability to lead. For those who find these tactics unsettling, it's worth remembering. Machiavelli didn't invent them. He simply observed what successful power holders have always done. Understanding these methods doesn't force you to use them, but ignoring them leaves you vulnerable to those who do. Part 4. The Prince's Toolbox: Practical Tactics. Beyond broad principles, Machiavelli outlined specific tactical approaches for gaining and maintaining control. These time-tested tools remain surprisingly effective even today. Tool 1. Strategic generosity. Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. Machiavelli recognized that material interests often outweigh emotional ones. By giving in a way that creates gratitude and dependency, influence grows. But the key is in the execution. Generosity must be visible, memorable, and clearly traced back to you. Anonymous kindness builds little leverage. Strategic generosity ensures recipients know who helped them and why. This explains why effective leaders make sure bonuses or promotions are attributed clearly, why public officials emphasize specific benefits they've secured, and why skilled networkers offer help that positions them as ongoing resources, not just one-time givers. Tool 2. Calculated mercy. Men should either be caressed or eliminated, because they will avenge minor injuries but cannot avenge severe ones. When facing opposition, half measures are dangerous. Either fully reconcile with your opponents, transforming them into allies, or remove their ability to retaliate. This is why capable leaders either fully reintegrate those who failed or let them go entirely. Why shrewd negotiators either reach total agreement or walk away cleanly. Ambiguous arrangements leave resentment smoldering, ready to reignite. Tool 3. Manufactured crisis. Never waste a good crisis. While Machiavelli didn't coin this phrase, the logic is deeply aligned with his thinking. Disruption creates opportunity. When things are stable, power structures resist change, but in crisis, people accept what they would otherwise oppose. This doesn't necessarily mean creating problems, but it means being ready to capitalize on real ones. The leader who has prepared reforms in advance can introduce them amid chaos when resistance is weakened by fear and confusion. Tool 4. Strategic alliance. The prince should be the only one from whom favors are expected. By becoming the gatekeeper of benefits, you make yourself indispensable. This ensures that people must go through you, not around you, increasing both control and insight. In organizations, this means ensuring that resources, approvals, or access depend on your involvement. Socially, it means becoming the connector, the one who introduces people to what they seek. The more you position yourself as the pathway to what others want, the more you can influence without exerting force. Tool 5. Predictive consistency. Nothing makes a prince more esteemed than undertaking great enterprises and giving striking examples of his abilities. Influence grows when others perceive you as consistently capable. Even if not every decision is flawless, a pattern of success builds trust in your judgment. When your actions regularly match your predictions, you build an image of competence that extends beyond any single outcome. This fosters an expectation of effectiveness, which in turn amplifies your authority. This explains why effective leaders often make highly visible commitments and ensure they're fulfilled, even at considerable cost. Demonstrating capability and reliability creates a perception of inevitability around their leadership, one that discourages opposition before it ever forms. These tools aren't abstract theory. They are practical tactics, observed across centuries of power struggles, from boardrooms to political campaigns to social hierarchies. Those who apply Machiavellian strategies, whether deliberately or by instinct, consistently outmaneuver those who remain unaware of them. Part 5. The Modern Machiavellian: Subtle Control. Machiavelli wrote for princes ruling Renaissance city-states, but his principles translate seamlessly into modern arenas, where direct coercion is rarely tolerated. Today's most effective manipulators have simply updated the methods, replacing swords and decrees with policies, incentives, and perception. In professional settings, the modern Machiavellian doesn't threaten or demand. Instead, they construct environments where people choose the desired behaviors voluntarily. They shape incentive structures, not through force, but through careful design. They manage perception, rather than controlling behavior directly. Consider how this shows up in daily interactions. The strategic information broker doesn't hoard knowledge, but shares selectively, appearing transparent while shaping others' decisions. They don't lie. They emphasize certain truths, delay others, and reveal information with precise timing. The office Machiavellian doesn't openly attack rivals. They simply ensure those rivals' successes appear circumstantial, while their failures are quietly magnified. They don't spread rumors. They ask innocent questions that seed doubt. I'm sure there's a good reason the Johnson Project missed another deadline. The social manipulator doesn't demand compliance. They construct situations where the desired action is simply the path of least resistance. Everyone else has already agreed to contribute. The relationship controller avoids ultimatums. Instead, they rely on subtle reminders of dependency. I'm so glad I could help you with that career introduction. These behaviors share a common formula. Indirect pressure over direct force, plausible deniability instead of overt intent, perception control instead of physical control. The iron fist is still present, but it wears a velvet glove. What makes these tactics especially potent is their ability to operate below conscious awareness. Most people resist obvious manipulation, but remain susceptible to subtler strategies that trigger automatic responses rather than conscious thought. The most advanced form of control is meta-manipulation, the creation of environments where people believe they are making free choices, when in reality, their options and information have been engineered to lead toward a specific decision. This is why leaders present predetermined outcomes as the result of collaborative dialogue. Marketers create illusory choices where every path leads to the same destination. Negotiators offer small concessions to secure larger wins, all while appearing flexible. The brilliance of these tactics lies in preserving the illusion of autonomy, which reduces resistance, even as influence deepens. For those concerned about falling prey to such tactics, awareness remains the best defense. Understanding how manipulation works doesn't guarantee immunity, but it heightens recognition and allows for more deliberate, informed responses. The practical question isn't whether to engage with Machiavellian dynamics, it's how to engage with them. Blind rejection leaves you exposed. Uncritical adoption leads to ethical erosion. The sustainable approach lies in the middle, seeing clearly without being consumed. Final reflections. Ethics and clarity. Machiavelli's insights provoke an uncomfortable but necessary question. Is understanding manipulation inherently corrupting? Does the knowledge of control automatically lead to its exploitation? His answer was more complex than many assume. A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good. The world is filled with individuals and systems that already use these principles, often without scrutiny. To understand them is not to surrender to them. It is to avoid being ruled by them unconsciously. In that sense, clarity is not corruption, it is protection. Regardless of moral discomfort, ignorance of these principles doesn't confer immunity. It breeds vulnerability. Perhaps the most unsettling of Machiavelli's insights is that power itself is neutral. The mechanics of influence are neither virtuous nor corrupt by nature. The same tactics that enable manipulation also enable leadership, protection, and progress. What separates corruption from wisdom isn't the method, it's the motive. A prince who understands fear, perception, and leverage can use them to exploit or to stabilize. The architecture of power is the same, whether it's used to dominate a population or to hold it together. Strategic influence, when aimed at collective benefit, becomes leadership. Control, when exercised to ensure stability and safety, becomes protection. Perception management, when used to inspire rather than deceive, becomes vision. To understand how human beings are moved, their fears, their desires, their beliefs, is not a form of corruption. It is simply to see clearly the forces that have always shaped human behavior. What matters is how that clarity is applied. Machiavelli might argue that the most powerful stance is neither blind idealism nor cynical manipulation, but clear-eyed realism paired with chosen virtue. Not virtue clung to blindly, but virtue selected consciously. Not because it guarantees success, but because it allows you to navigate the world as it truly is, rather than how one wishes it to be. Not naive, not corrupt, but aware.